People are talking about a moment in which V was seen holding hands with an older woman at a restaurant, allegedly. And people believe they're on a date. There also have been some photos that have been trending that were screenshots of something that V accomplished, which is really cool. And then we have J-Hope talking about his recent love. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. People were a little bit shocked when J-Hope talked about his musical inspiration, and it happened to be Rihanna. He mentioned that he was listening to her since he was a kid, and likely she had some inspiration to the music that he ends up making now, as well as he is waiting for the next album. And if you're not familiar with the Rihanna community, a lot of people are requesting that she make a new album. However, I think at this point in her career, she might have moved on from music, and I definitely believe that because any type of music that she would want to make, she likely has made because she had been an artist for such a long time. And then now she's focusing on what's making her a lot of money, which is her makeup brand. And becoming a CEO or a founder of any brand takes a lot of time and energy. It isn't a part-time job. And yeah, if she were to take the money that she made from her brand, she likely could be able to fund her own music project. But that would really depend on if she is able to or wants to step away from her brand at the moment to do something arguably more stressful and to make less money. And we can be real here for a second because yes, money is not everything, but money does drive the direction in which you might choose to do something. People literally move across the country for a job because of money. So it really does impact a lot of things. However, what was interesting was when J-Hope mentioned this, he actually got a lot of backlash, which I did not expect at all. People were definitely looking for an issue, and he mentioned that he had listened to Rihanna when he was a kid. So a lot of people were breaking that apart and saying that they are not that far in age. J-Hope is 31 and Rihanna is 37. So they're definitely not that far in age, but when they were younger, this would definitely matter. So for example, Rihanna got famous when she was about 18, 19. That's when she essentially became almost a household name. And she started her career, got signed around 16. So at that point when she was 18, 19, she had a lot of influence. And I say this because that means that around the time J-Hope would have listened to her or would have heard of her, he would have been 11, 12. That is definitely a kid listening to music. So yeah, Rihanna definitely isn't that much older, but she did impact a whole generation that was much younger than her. So when I see things like this, to me, it's just people wanting to have an argument for the sake of having an argument, because why on earth are you breaking apart the words that he is saying and making them into an issue if he said that he had listened to her when he was a kid? In what way would that have been an insult? And let's say he wasn't a kid. They're just trying to catch J-Hope in a lie. And mind you, most of these people saying this aren't even Rihanna fans. So that is a real issue there. When people are trying to break apart such minute and little details, because it changes nothing. It means nothing. And obviously, if J-Hope is saying that he is a fan of her, he obviously doesn't think that she is bad, and he has no intention of disrespecting her. However, people should stop being so defensive, and not everyone is trying to come after someone. Some people just want to live. Some people just want to enjoy their life, and everyone struggles so much already in life. It's so hard, but then we, by doing stuff like this, try to make life harder. What's the point? Because at the end of the day, none of the artists are going to apologize for what they said, and nothing is going to change. Now, if we can shift focus into something that we are actually really proud of and things that we really like to do, then we're going to be at a better place and people are going to be a lot happier. One of those things recently was apparently a bunch of people noticed that V had insane streams on his solo work. Now, keep in mind, his solo album was not pushed on American radio, really. And there was not really that much push into, I guess, the American mainstream market. And yet a lot of his music had either 500 million views to even almost 2 billion. This is absolutely huge, and I'm sure this definitely has broken some sort of record because these are huge numbers. Now, how many of these people are the same people streaming over and over again? Or how many of these are new people? I would say even if it's just 1 million people streaming, it would be quite difficult for 1 million people to hit 1 billion streams. But also if it's 1 million people streaming 1,000 times to hit 1 billion streams, that is still really impressive. That's still a community that is so big and so vast, and they're able to do just that. A lot of artists struggle to have just 1,000 true fans, as they call it, but the BTS members, and even when they're not as a group, but them individually, they do not struggle to have true fans. They apparently have 1 million or over 1 million true fans. They're the ones that are pushing this song even without mainstream push, or much push at all, really. This can be a good thing and a bad thing, in my opinion, because if a label sees that an artist doesn't really need to be pushed and they can still make a lot of money, the label isn't going to think, oh, well, then if we put money into them, they're going to make more money. They're just going to think that this is an artist that can be low maintenance on and hands off on. And other collaborators find out about this, find out about the fact that the BTS community doesn't like ads for their songs and doesn't really like what they call payola, like any type of paid promotion. And then they call that payola, even though it's not, but they call it that. When collaborators realize that they are not going to push the song financially, they're going to think promotion is just collaborating with BTS. And once that song is made, posted, they're just going to move on to the next thing. And we're not really going to want that, right? We're going to want BTS to have a cycle and be heard on the radio and to be played everywhere. Now, these companies, labels are not doing that because they feel that the community, one, doesn't like that, but two, the community is going to push it regardless. So why is the label going to waste time and money to do it when they keep that money for themselves? For example, when a label sees that a song has reached 1 billion streams, they're definitely thinking in their head that they can't put more money into it because everyone who's liked it has probably heard it already. In that case, I think personally there is a detriment to mass streaming and people who are upset over when a music video becomes an ad. Definitely good to keep that in mind. And of course, stream a song if you want to stream it, and if you're actually going to be listening to the music, not just stream overnight just so that you can get 100 streams. And then let the label take care of the rest, because the label's going to push these people anyway. Typically that comes out of the budget that is allotted for the members. Now, what is interesting is that there were some people who were talking about the fact that V apparently might be in a relationship with someone a little bit older. And I don't know who this person is and what they do, but a lot of people are calling her a cougar, which I thought was a little bit rude. First off, she doesn't really look that much older, so calling her older is a little bit rude, and she really doesn't look that much older. But some people took compilation photos of this woman and apparently together in multiple situations, and they saw that V and her were hanging out together at a restaurant. And there were situations in which they took selfies on the street together. And so people were like, they obviously know each other. They obviously hang out a lot. And maybe V is dating her. V is an older soul, as he likes older music. He likes a slower pace of an older life. So I can definitely totally see him preferring someone like that if that woman is indeed older and if they are together. But people were talking about this moment in which we see V and her holding hands at a restaurant, allegedly. And a lot of people were pointing out the fact that if this is true and this actually happened and it's not just a camera angle trick thing, then the two are definitely in a relationship together. But there are things that we are not considering. If you meet some older women, and again, I'm only saying older because that's what people are saying, not that I even know how old she is, but if you meet older women in the industry, they often tend to be really flirty, really cute, nice, and so they know how to flirt and be nice and to get people to like them, right? These are your very well-liked socialites in a city, and every big city has one of those, right? Especially if you don't know who this woman is, and you're starting to see her at every party or event, and these are the big parties or events, then they are definitely considered a socialite, right? They're known very well within the entertainment industry, maybe not so much outside of the industry. So some of these women tend to be really flirty, as I mentioned, and they will hold your hand, they will act cute, they'll do all of that stuff, but it won't be for the sake of wanting to be in a relationship with them, but that's just more so their personality. And that's how they get along, right? They stroke people's ego, they act cute and funny, and then anyone who's in the industry for a while should be aware that these things are just kind of fake, right? They're not a genuine show of affection, but just more so the women or the socialites knowing what they're doing and trying to be kind and friendly. And I'm not necessarily saying that this is the case with her and V, but it could be, right? And so anytime we see a woman with him, maybe we shouldn't just assume that they're automatically in a relationship together. But we can assume that this is likely a well-known socialite and the two are friends. That to me seems a lot more plausible, right? And if people don't know what she does, she could be a makeup artist, she could be a stylist, she could also be someone that is a creative director. We have no idea. Let me know what you think. Make sure to check out Patreon for more videos, linked down below. Thank you to this lovely comment right here. Love you, bye.